It's time for the penultimate race of the season. It's Brazil, of course. It's a sprint race weekend, so the video will be a little bit longer than usual. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this one. As we are almost at the end of season 2, I have already asked you guys who I should get as my engine supplier, as we are securing some parts for next season. But who should be my teammate for Season 3? Let me know in the comments down below. I will have a look at them later on. And yeah, let's get into qualifying. In my opinion, this is the trickiest exit of them all, because you have a lot of corners with cold tires, of course. This year you don't get to warm your tires in the pits. No, you need to drive them up to heat, as we let Albon go by. He is on a flying run, he is in P20, I don't know where he's going to be, as we are starting our first lap. But yeah, I think this is the trickiest exit of the pits, because you have a lot of corners before you get onto the track, and your tires are around 70 degrees. So that's way too cold to go on a push lap and of course get safe out of the pits. But as we are ending our first lap, you can see that we are in P17. Of course, that's not good enough. But luckily this time around it doesn't matter that much, as we are in a sprint race weekend, which means that we first have qualifying. This is still on the Friday. Tomorrow on the Saturday we have a sprint race, and at Sunday as usual we have the big race. As you can see, up to P11 in the final run, or the second run, as I let Latifi and Gasly by. I thought, like, why not? Of course normally you don't do that, but I thought, like, my tires are already so cold, then let's just give them some room as well. As we overtook Latifi in our outlap, he just let me by without any problems, and we are going into turn 1 in P11. So let's just hope that we can get through. Of course it's Q1, so we should be fine, as it's been a while since we were out in qualifying 1. Qualifying is now complete. We are up by 2.5 tenths, which is now going down to only 2 tenths, but hey, we still have a lot of time to gain. And we are in P15. I don't think that there are many drivers still on their flying lap. We are in P17, but is 2 tenths enough? Let's see. We are crossing the line in just a second. We have crossed the line, and it looks like we are through to qualifying 2 in P14. This was a really close one, but as I said before, it doesn't matter that much. So yeah, we go straight on into qualifying 2, and as you can see, the clouds are getting grey. The weather forecaster that is going to rain at the end of this session. You can see Norris is in the pit, but he just lets us through. He does not cause us any damage or any harm, luckily, because otherwise we would have done the same to him. As we are ending Sector 1 into Sector 2. I love this track. It's a really fun track to drive, and Fernando Alonso puts in a 107.2. We put in a 108.0. which is 8 tenths of the pace, and as I've said before, it's going to rain at the end of this session, so we are not going out anymore, and we are out of qualifying in Q2. You can see it's a Red Bull P1, but that isn't the end of qualifying. Of course, there's still a later stage of qualifying. It looks like our teammate is out as well in P12. We are out in P15, so yeah, let's go on to the sprint race.
Forget pit stops, forget fuel management. It's pedal to the metal all the way here as we get ready for today's sprint. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Fernando Alonso, Russell, Sebastian Vettel and Sainz, Perez, Ocon, Ricciardo and Lando Norris, Gasly, Button and Sir Lewis Hamilton and Magnussen. The engineer, Joe, Robert Schwartzman and Alex Albon, Sonoda, Mick Schumacher, Stroll and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out.
For the people who don't know what a sprint race is, it's a 12 laps sprint, or at least at this track is 12 laps. And it means that you go to the end without making a pit stop. Of course, if you make a collision with someone else, or if you get damage on your front wing, then you of course can change it. As we go past Gasly and Norris, and we are up into P10, which is really great. Of course, in qualifying I didn't have the best of speed, so let's just hope that this time around we get the pace with us. It's not against us, hopefully, as we are now behind Perez and Ocon. We are in P6 with the constructors, and I don't think that can change because mathematically it's not possible. So yeah, we can just try and get as many points as possible. Of course, it looks better with a higher amount, as we have overtaken Perez, and into turn 10 we go and overtake Ocon as well. We went deep and he does a switchback, but we managed to stay ahead, and we are now at the end of lap 1 in P8. But of course, here going into lap 4 already, you can see Ocon goes by and we lock up and we go a bit wide into turn 1 and 2, and we have a horrible exit out of turn 2 into turn 3, which means that now Perez is going side by side, and it looks like the AlphaTauri is also going to try and overtake us. As you can see now, Perez is back into P9. Luckily, Gasly is still behind us as we try to go around the other side. Perez logs up and we go past Perez up into P9 once again. A great battle with the Red Bull, which is really great to see that we can battle the Red Bulls. Of course, Verstappen is in P2 at the moment, and mathematically Vettel can still be the world champion. Of course, if Leclerc does not finish this race, the big race and next race, as we collide with the Red Bull with Perez, you can see we can fight with them and we can collide with them as well. But yeah, I felt like Perez just didn't leave me any space there. But as I was saying, Vettel can still be world champion if Leclerc does not finish any race at all, not even the sprint race. And Vettel needs to win them all. So yeah, let's see if that can happen. But at the moment it looks like Leclerc is winning. And Perez went into the pits, as now we are back into P10 because Gasly overtook us. To be honest, we just did not have the pace that we should have. Of course, we are not upgrading this car anymore. We are now saving to get as many parts from this season onto next season's car, because otherwise we lose a lot of development. So we are trying to hold on to them, because if we can save all the parts that are in danger for next season, then we can go up massively on the development race for the best car, because every team will probably lose a few upgrades, which means that we can overtake maybe Mercedes, maybe McLaren, maybe Red Bull. It really depends on how many upgrades everybody saves for next season. Of course, if we do not save them all, then of course we can go back as well. But I'm trying as hard as possible to save all of them. But yeah, we will need to wait until next race to see if we can save all our upgrades. Of course, we have already saved the powertrain department, but now we still have, I think, around 11 upgrades on the chassis department. So there's still a long way to go, with of course only one race after this. So yeah, let's just hope that we can hold our car together for next season, and maybe then we can fight for regular wins, regular podiums, and maybe even the championship. As we are now at the end of the 12 laps into the third chicane we go, as Charles Leclerc wins the sprint race, which now automatically means that he is officially the world champion. He's now a two-time world champion. In this universe, Max Verstappen has only won one world champion, and it is in 2021, because Charles Leclerc won it last year, won it now, and so yeah, he's basically now a better driver than Verstappen in this career mode, as we finish in P10 with the Haas really close behind us. So I'm lucky that I did not get overtaken by him. As you can see, driver of the day for us, but that doesn't change anything to our points. And now Charles Leclerc is Drivers' World Champion for 2 times in a row now. 2 times at the same track. Last season he was also champion at the Brazilian Grand Prix, so I think this is his lucky place.
Formula One returns to Interlagos once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his 3rd championship here in 2012, and just 4 years later, Max Verstappen treated us to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. We're racing today then at Interlagos, a historic 2.7 mile circuit and one of the few anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. 15 corners in total, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, with a technical middle section opening up to a flat-out Sector 3. That gives us our best passing opportunity down into Turn 1. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Gasly, the engineer, and Verstappen, Joe, Fernando Alonso, Russell, and Lando Norris, Sainz, Magnussen. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Mick Schumacher and Latifi, Perez, Button, Esteban Ocon, and Alex Albon. Stroll, they've taken a grid penalty. Hamilton, Schwartzman, and Yuki Tsunoda. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into Turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
It's now time for the real deal. As you can see, we finished the sprint race in P10, but we are starting in P5. And you can see, yeah, Max Verstappen has a better start on us, but this time I had a feeling that I knew how to start. To be honest, it's still not the better start, but we managed to stay in P6 for the moment. As you can see, we are really close behind Gasly, but we are not overtaking him just yet. We do not have the pace for that. As you can see, lap 1 coming to an end already. But yeah, the gap ahead is really big between the leaders. Leclerc is still leading this Grand Prix as we are going down the inside at lap 2 at the first corner. And you can see Gasly just let us by, but if we get a look at his onboard, then you can see that he had a log-up. So yeah, there's only luck for us that we went for it, because otherwise we could have lost our front wing or anything else. And yeah, it's still Verstappen in P4, we in P5.
There appears to be an issue. We're currently investigating.
Not again. Are we going to see a DNF in this race? I don't know. We just have to wait for that. But at the moment it does look like we are slower. It's not a fatal problem, but we do have an engine issue. I don't know when he said it, but he said it. And we are now losing a lot of time. I think it's the acceleration which went from good to bad to maybe even worse later on in the race. But as you can see now, Gasly is really close behind. He tries to overtake us. We made a bit of contact as well, but luckily no problems just yet, as Alonso is now going down the inside of Gasly, and it looks like he's going down the inside of me, but there's just no room there. So we went off track, and you can see that we've lost the position to Alonso. Luckily he has damage, so he's going into the pits at the end of the lap. So yeah, we are back up into P5. To be honest, that was just a dumb move from him. I think he maybe had a log-up or something like that, because he is a really experienced driver and wouldn't do something like that at a corner which isn't meant for overtaking. As safety car is deployed, it's lap 5 and the safety car is out. Let's have a look at what happened. As we have a look here, it's our teammate with Albon and the other It's a lot of drivers actually. As we take a look at Ocon's onboard, he just loses his front wing, and I think Yuki Tsunoda lost his front wing as well. So that's why the safety car is out. You can see I've put it on broadcast, and we are in P4 at the moment with only 3 really talented drivers ahead of us. It's Leclerc, Vettel, Verstappen. Then we have ourselves, Gasly, Norris, Sainz, Zhou, Magnussen, Latifi actually in P10. So that's our top 10 at the moment as the safety car is coming in this lap. You can see returning control. Thank you very much. We are starting once again. It's a shorter race now. As you can see on the minimap, there's a big gap between our teammate and the rest of the pack. So that's really good, to be honest. As we are now going for the overtake on Max Verstappen into turn 1. Are we going to do it? Yes, we are down the inside. And we have overtaken Max Verstappen. And we are now up into the podium positions. But of course, we still have that engine issue. So we are probably going to lose that position once again in just a moment. As we are pitting in lap 18 instead of lap 16. But yeah, as you can see, coming to the end of the first racing lap once again after the safety car, you can see Max Verstappen is really close and he just goes for it. The same thing that we did to him, and we are now back into P4. P4 is still really great, knowing that we started in P5. Of course, we finished in P10 in sprint race, so it's still a good thing to see that we can hold on to P4 at the moment. As we have a big moment coming into turn 11 and 12. Or at least I think they are that. So yeah, lap 11 it is, and you can see the gap to Max Verstappen is growing. Vettel and Leclerc are once again fighting for the lead, for the win. They have really had a great season so far, both winning a couple of races. But Leclerc is coming into the pit already. He started on the softs, so he's going from softs to mediums, I think. Because we are not doing a 2-stop in this race, as Gasly tries to go around the outside. But we defend from the inside line, and we hold on to P3 at the moment. Or no, we are not. We are going to try and get DRS from him. But now Norris and Sainz are also trying to overtake me. Can we get back at Gasly? I don't know. There's a big gap to him. But as we go towards the next corner, we brake really late. And we are back up into the podium position. Of course, Leclerc is still... he went already into the pit, so that doesn't really count. But for now, we are in P3, and you can see a lot of drivers are behind us, trying to overtake us and everybody else, of course. And it's now Norris who is behind us. As we are past the 1/3 mark of the race, we are now on the way to the halfway part. And Norris is now past us. He had a great run into the last corner, but we get DRS. We have still ERS. We push him a bit through that last corner, and we go for the inside line, and we are back up into P3. I think it's 3 wide at the moment. Yes, Gasly is overtaking Norris as well. Is he going to overtake us? I don't think so. So let's go. We are back up into P3, and we are fighting hard with Norris, Gasly, Zhou, I think it is as well. Yes, he is now up into P5. So these drivers are really trying to overtake me and gain my position. But I'm not going to let it happen. We are defending for our life. We want those points. It doesn't matter in the constructors, but I just like to have them. So as Norris goes down the inside, I thought it was his teammate Guan Yu Zhou. But it's Norris who went down the inside. Luckily we managed to defend from him. But now it's another DRS straight, and he's not going to overtake us into the next corner, luckily. So we are still in P3 as Norris and Zhou. They are both Alfa Romeo drivers, but they are fighting for P4 at the moment, and they both want to have it. So you can see they are fighting a lot. It's still a long train behind me, as we have a bad run through that long left-hander, and that gives Norris the opportunity to go down our inside once again. It's lap 15 of 36, so we are near our pit stop, and you can see now Guan Yu Zhou also trying to overtake us, but Norris blocks him off, which means that we can now get past him, and it's 3 wide behind us. Are they going side by side into turn 1? It looks like Zhou has hit us. As you can see from an off-board cam, we have a horrible exit out of turn 3, which means that now both of the Alfa Romeo drivers are through, and Gasly is trying to overtake us as well. You can see here from another camera angle that we got hit on the left rear tire, and we have 2 snaps of oversteer. So that meant that we have lost a couple of positions, but we managed to get through to P4 once again. Norris lost a couple of positions there, but luckily no damage for the both of us, as we now need to get back at Zo, because I do not want to lose that position. So yeah, that's what we are trying to do right now. Of course, the mediums are gone, so we need to come into the pits as fast as possible, as Vettel is now into the pits. He is already on the hards, Zo is into the pits as well, Magnussen, Gasly. I think everybody's coming in this lap, but we are going 1 lap longer, of course. Our teammate is into the pits, and we are now leading the Grand Prix. Or is Vettel going to come out ahead of us? I don't think so, as there's a little bend in the pit exit, which meant that he needed to lift a bit. And we are now up into P1. We are leading the Brazilian Grand Prix, but of course we still need to make a pit stop. But we are going to do that.
So the issue seems to be fixed, but we'll keep monitoring it from our end.
Okay, so the issue is fixed, and as I said, we are coming into the pits right now. It's a perfect pit stop once again. We have a collision warning with Sebastian Vettel as Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz. All the top runners are coming through, and they are now ahead of us. We are down into P8, and it looks like both of the Alfa Romeo drivers are coming through turn 1 and 2 now. Are we going to go ahead of them out of the pits? I don't know. I don't think so. They are already ahead, and it looks like Ocon is going to overtake us as well. But now we don't have that issue anymore, so we should be fast once again. Of course, we weren't fast in the sprint and in qualifying, so let's just hope that we do have the pace now in the big race where the points are for grabs. I want to get as many as possible, but you can see we can hold on to them quite easily, as we are still warming up our tires to get them at the perfect temperature. But we are now outside the point paying positions, but Ocon is looking very tasty, and we are going down the inside. And we are now side by side with Ocon. Can we overtake him? Yes, we can. We are still side by side. We have a bit of contact, but we have the outside line, which turns to the inside, which means that we are now inside those top 10 positions. But there are still 2 Alfa Romeos ahead of us that I want to overtake as well. So we are going towards lap 22 already, and we are going down the inside of Norris. Can we overtake him into turn 1? It looks like it, and we are taking that inside line beautifully. And now we still have the DRS from Guan Yu Zhou, who is in P8, and who we should still be able to get for 2 extra points. Of course, I don't think that we will get the fastest lap as we go down the inside at turn 10. Bottas told Zhou that we should do that in real life. I am doing it on Zhou in the game. So yeah, that's great to see that we can get advice from real F1 drivers and use that in the game as well. As the gap now ahead is 5.6 seconds. The gap behind is 2.5 seconds. So we are back with our pace. The fault has been fixed since our pit stop actually, and it looks like at the moment it's Vettel with a big lead compared to the other drivers, so he's probably going to win this race, as it's now lap 27. You can see Hamilton is on the medium, so maybe he needs to make another pit stop onto the softs maybe, as it's lap 28, and there's a yellow flag. I think that's a Red Bull. Yes, it looks like Sergio Perez, and he's out of this session, out of the race. So no points for him, but I don't think that's going to cause a safety car just yet. So now lap 29, only 8 laps to go, or 7 after this one. So we need to hold on to P8, as that will bring us 4 more points for the constructors, for the drivers. And now into lap 30, we are coming to the dying stage of this race. Not much that I can show you at the moment, but there's a yellow flag ahead of us. I think that's Hamilton. Yes, Hamilton is now out of the race. Or is it just a puncture? I don't think it is. I think it is a failure. As there's a yellow flag, it's still there. So Hamilton is out of this session, which means that we are going up into P7. I don't think there's going to come a safety car, but as I got a bit distracted, I pushed too hard on the throttle, which meant that I spun around, unfortunately. So that's probably a few positions lost. But the safety car is now deployed. And as we cross the corner, we cut the corner massively, but we are still in P7 and the safety car is out. So basically, I went at the right moment off Frank, which meant the safety car came out, as we are now in lap 31, catching to the safety car. So we still have a shot at the top 5. I don't think that the podium will be possible, but we need to have a look at that. As Charles Leclerc, you can see him here, is drivers champion for 2 times in a row, which is really great to see that someone else than the Mercedes or Red Bull can win as well. Lando Norris is still really close behind us, only 1 position, so we need to try and hold on to P7 at least. Maybe we can go for the move that we did on Verstappen after the first safety car and overtake Alonso into turn 1 already. Safety car in this lap maintained speed. We got the control back from the AI. I liked it a bit more because then you get a better feeling of how a race really feels with the broadcast. As we try to go around the outside, but Alonso goes for the inside line and we go around the outside of Carlos Sainz actually. And it looks like we are going to take that position as we are now up into P7. Or is it P6? I think it's P6, but we are still side by side as now Sainz has overtaken us once again. But we take that inside line for P6 and we are now through to P6 with only 2 laps remaining after this one. A lot of ERS to spend, so we can use it all in those coming laps. We are in the penultimate lap of the race, in the penultimate race of the season, of course. And it's now Ricciardo in P5, only 4 times ahead, so we should be able to overtake him if we use our ERS correctly and if we have the pace. But of course, as we are entering the final lap, the DRS is enabled, but the AI is also in their OP ERS mode, so we probably don't have a shot at him, and we should be happy with P6 as long as Sainz does not overtake us, because I don't think that will happen. But yeah, in turn 10 I tried to overtake him there, but I was just too far back, or the intentions were there, but I just did not have the pace. But yeah, we are now looking towards the final corner and we have a drag race up to the finish line, 3/10 of the grid sprint. Can we make that up with ERS, DRS? We have everything. As we go for the inside line, it's I don't know who won. I think it's Sebastian Vettel. Are we in P5 or are we in P6? Let's have a look. I think that's P6. Yes, it is. Unfortunately, we were just not fast enough at the end of the lap to overtake not Sainz, to overtake Daniel Ricciardo for P5.
Another superb Sao Paulo Grand Prix comes to an end then, and it's a thoroughly deserved victory. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today? As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving that they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
That's our podium. Sebastian Vettel wins once again. After next race, I will have a look at how many races he won in the past 2 seasons to check how many races he won in total in his career. Because of course, after this season, he is retiring from the game, so we won't be getting him as a teammate for next year. The rest of the podium was Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen, so yeah, that's our podium for today. It's not a surprise, but as you can see, we are only a few thousands behind Ricciardo. If he just had a better exit out of the last corner, then we should have been able to overtake him, but unfortunately we did not, as our teammate finishes in P17, so he's definitely getting fired. Let's take a look at the standings. It's Charles Leclerc with a 49 points lead, so he is now Drivers' World Champion. But the Constructor standings is still really close. McLaren is only leading Ferrari over 6 points. So if you want to see what's going to happen in the finale, then like, subscribe, goodbye.